Have any of you sent a text today? Did your phone check the spelling for you? Did it maybe even correct the spelling for you? If so, you have used an adaptation today. I'm going to be talking to you about what adaptations are, examples of adaptations, and the difference between adaptations and modifications. I'm going to school to be a special education teacher, so I've taken several classes that have taught me about education. And I've realized that the more you know about adaptations, the more you realize how often we all use them. So let's talk about what an adaptation is. According to dictionary.com, adapt is to adjust or modify fittingly. Basically, an adaptation is anything that makes it easier to accomplish a task. We all use adaptations every day. It's just a matter of what kind of adaptations you use. So let's talk about different types of adaptations. As I mentioned earlier, a cell phone can be a great adaptation. If you're typing a message and you misspell a word, your phone can go back and fix it for you. That makes it an adaptation. You're still typing everything you want to say, it's all your words, but the phone checks it for you. It makes it easier. You may be typing a long message and just accidentally misspell, or you may not know the spelling. Either way, the phone is there for you. Another example is a book on tape. The tape reads the book for you. You're still getting everything out of the book as if you were reading it yourself, but it's a little bit easier to understand for some people if it's read to them. That makes it an adaptation. A third example is students who receive extended time on an assignment are receiving an adaptation. They still have to meet all of the requirements that every other student has to meet. They just have a little bit extra time to get there. That makes it an adaptation. Simply makes it easier to accomplish the task. So, let's talk about the difference between adaptations and modifications. As far as I can see from everything I've looked up, adaptation versus modification really only makes a big difference when you're dealing with education. If you go to Google and you type in the search bar, adaptation versus modification, almost every link that pops up is talking about education, specifically special education. A guide to adaptations and modifications states that adaptations do not give an unfair advantage. They simply level the playing field. As I said, they make it easier to accomplish the task. It also states that a modification is when you're changing the end goal. For example, if you have two students and one is learning division and the other is learning long division, the first student would be receiving a modification. They're both learning division, but the end goal is different. The first student simply learns division, while the other is taking it a few steps further and learning long division. That is how it's a modification. To recap, we all use adaptations in our day-to-day life. We just don't always know that it's an adaptation. Adaptations simply level the playing field. They make it easier. The difference between adaptations and modifications isn't talked about very often, but if you spend any time in an education class, you'll quickly learn that there's a big difference. So go out and enjoy all the adaptations you use and be thankful that you have them.